I broke my hip just watching that. James, come on in.
Hey, Amber.
Oh my gosh, that was fantastic. So, James, welcome to Amber Live. So, when did you start dancing? Tell me about your dancing history.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody out there. My name is James Whiteside. I'm a principal dancer, choreographer with American Ballet Theater in New York City. And here's my little dance history. I started when I was 9 years old. I lived in Fairfield, Connecticut at the time. And my mom threw me a phone book and she said, you're driving me crazy. Please pick something to do. So I was looking through the phone book for an activity. And I found this ad for the local dance studio. And there was a picture of a man holding a woman over his head with one hand. And I thought that looked really cool. It's like, is this a circus? What is this? My mom was like, oh, it's a dance studio. Do you want to check it out? And she brought me by and I took a couple tryout classes and I was hooked immediately and I was 9.
What type of dance was it?
Oh, jazz, tap, ballet, acrobatics, you name it. Like the bundled American dance experience.
Where did that lead you? How soon were you performing and in shows?
I mean, pretty much right away. Like the studio that I danced for, it's called the DeValda and Sirico Dance Center in Fairfield, Connecticut. And they did a lot of competitions and things, and they still do. And they also have showcases where they make big shows for their students and they perform at the local university theater, and started performing almost right away. And I joined their youth competition group, and it was like off to the races when I started. I was obsessed immediately. Yeah.
Do you dance through high school? Did you go to college then?
So I danced through high school, and I went to actually a ballet boarding school in high school in Virginia. And the school, which is no longer around, was called Virginia School of the Arts. And it was a wonderful school that focused on ballet, but also had sort of, they had like modern Martha Graham technique, contemporary dance, jazz. And it was wonderful for me. And after I was there for 1 year, I was offered a job at Boston Ballet as an apprentice. And so I left high school before I finished and completed high school through correspondence, which at the time was through the mail, like, snail mail, because the internet wasn't something everybody had yet. Like I didn't have a computer or anything. So I would, do my tests and like go work at Boston Ballet all day and then go home and like do homework by myself. It was tedious, but I was really excited to be working already. I think I had just turned 18 when I started.
So you were a professional dancer before you graduated high school.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that unheard of for big ballet companies to hire people super young. I've worked with people who join when they're 16. It's a crazy profession, and it's all stacked really young because we're relying on our bodies, so you got to sort of get into it real quick, otherwise you have less time.
Tell me about a dance belt. When did you first wear a dance belt?
Pretty much right away. Yeah, my school was really hardcore, and like you couldn't really show up in baggy pajamas and call it your dance wear. That you get stuff right away. It's super disciplined, super regimented training, and they were like, all right, you need black tights, you need a white t-shirt or a white leotard and a dance belt, and these type of shoes. Like, and at the time there was an audition for the scholarship program. At the beginning of every school year, they do auditions for scholarships. And so I auditioned, otherwise I don't think I would have been able to train there. But I got a scholarship, and so they hooked me up with everything pretty much. It was amazing. But yeah, I was introduced to a dance belt pretty much right away. And for those of you who don't know, a dance belt is basically like a jock strap, but for dancers. And instead of having like the things that go on either side of the butt, it's a thong. And then the front end is sort of like a quilted fabric. Think like Bounty, but for your junk.
Is it effective?
It gets the job done.
Now, is the purpose just so they can't see your parts, or just is it a
It
cleaner
is
look?
parts lifting and keeping it away from like legs that are beating around, like, smashing together, and you could really do damage to oneself.
Yeah.
And I think also it does have a slight obscuring, you know,
Yes,
aspect to
yes, it does. How long were you with the Boston Ballet Company?
Oh, I was there for 10 years. I danced there as an apprentice for 1 year, and then I was given a quarter ballet contract. And the quarter ballet is like the main bulk of the company. They do all the group numbers basically. And then I was promoted to second soloist, which is like, you're doing some soloist parts, but you're main quarter ballet. And then I was promoted to first soloist, which is like you only do solos. And then I was promoted to principal dancer. And principal dancer is the highest rank in a ballet company. And so say you are doing Swan Lake, you're either the Swan Queen or the Prince. Your story is about. You're doing Romeo and Juliet. I'd be Romeo. That's what the principal dancer does. So
What
I
what,
was a
what was your
principal.
first role? What was your first role as principal?
Giselle. Giselle is a classical ballet in 2 acts in which a prince disguises himself as a peasant to go and hang out with a peasant girl that he has a crush on. And he tricks her into thinking he's a peasant and fall madly in love. Little does he know that she has this weird heart condition that if she dances too much or has her heart broken by a man, she will die. And so both happen. We're dancing, and then she finds out that I am lying to her that I'm the prince, and she dies of a heart attack. And the whole second act is me begging her ghost for forgiveness. I know it sounds insane, but it's quite beautiful. It's just a story about forgiveness. That's all it is. And that was my first principal role.
After you were with Boston for 10 years, where did you go then?
So I had always wanted to dance for American Ballet Theater in New York City. It was my dream company since I was about 12 years old when I first saw them at Lincoln Center. And, for an American dancer who wants to be a classical ballet dancer, American Ballet Theatre is the goal. There are a lot of companies all over the world that are really incredible, but in America, in my opinion, it is the best classical ballet dance company. So that was always my dream. I danced for Boston Ballet, and it was wonderful for me. It was a great opportunity for me to grow and try out different styles of dance: contemporary, neoclassical, European, contemporary, all these fabulous ballets that I got to do. But I never forgot that I wanted to be in ABT. And so in 2011, I sent my audition materials to ABT. And so audition materials consist of headshot, bio, resume, as well as videos of your dancing. So at that time, I did have a computer, so I made a little reel essentially of my dancing and sent it over to ABT. And I wasn't sure if I'd hear back, but they wrote me back and they invited me to come take class with the company. And every day in a classical ballet company, the dancers take technique class, which is an hour and a half, just like regimented. You start at the bar, you're doing tendus, pliés, adagio, rambaments, all these exercises. And then you move to the center of the room, you put the bars away, and you do turns and jumps and, just go on. So the director of the company came to watch the class that I was auditioning in. And after the class, they asked if they could speak to me in the artistic office. And so I was terrified, and I went up to the office and I sat down in a chair across from the then director, Kevin McKenzie, and his artistic associate director. And they said, we think you'd be a great fit. We'd like to offer you a soloist contract in the company.
Wow.
And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really expect anything, honestly. But, hearing that news, really, it was special. Yeah. And so I took the job.
What's your advantage as a dancer? Do you think you have a physical advantage somehow? Is it true?
In what sense? In what?
You appear very tall. Is height an advantage in dancing?
Well, it depends. Not necessarily. I know, in a way, I feel like for men at least, who are required to do a lot of jumping, to be shorter is actually more helpful. You're a bit more compact, you're a bit more in control of your limbs. But that being said, society seems to hold giants to a certain, you know. So, I'm not a giant. I'm 6 feet tall, and
Oh,
I have been working my body since I was 9 years old. So I am very coordinated and put together in a way as a ballet dancer. It's just the way I'm built, and I look like I've been doing ballet my whole life.
yes, you do.
Yeah.
Do you have a daily routine?
Yes. So in a classical ballet company, you have your technique class in the morning, which is an hour and a half, and then you can rehearse up for 7 hours that day. And then sometimes you'll even have a performance that night. But when you have performances, they tend to give you less rehearsals, so you're not completely tuckered out by the time you've got to perform. Yeah, and then I also do cross training on the side. And today I didn't have work, so I was in Fire Island actually earlier today, and my friends and I did a yoga class together on one of my friend's roof. Yeah, it was lovely.
Well, we're going to be talking about Fire Island later on because you created a film about Fire Island. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more with James Whiteside when we come back after this little break. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Amber.
All right, James Whiteside, come on in.
Hello.
All right. We talked earlier about your dance career, but you do other things as well. When did you start having other interests in other projects?
I mean, ever since I was a kid, I have liked to dabble in many types of creative things. And, I'm a ballet dancer. That's my day job, I guess you could call it. But I like to experiment in other types of creativity and art.
You have a book out, correct?
Yes, I wrote a book in 2021 that was released by Penguin. It's called Center Center, and it is a memoir and essays, and it's pretty fantastical. It's as gay as they get. It's super fun and funny, and I recommend if you like books or if you like audiobooks, there's an audiobook as well that I read with my sultry baritone. So check it out. It's called Center Center. You can find it on my website at jamesbwhiteside.com, which Russell has put down in the little bottom there. Way to go, Russell. Wow. Hell yeah.
How long did it take you to write the book?
Oh, it took about like 2 years, a little under 2 years. Yeah. I wrote the book pretty quickly, actually. I started it, I took a Nutcracker season off and went up to my friend's house in Rhinecliff, New York. And I was alone at the house and just writing. It was very, what's that movie? Gosh, is it Love Actually, where the guy, goes to write in like Italy or something, but there was no beautiful woman that I fell in love with.
Surprise.
Plot twist.
And you also have a movie that's coming out as well.
Yeah, I have a short film that came out, I think 2 weeks ago now. I was contacted by All Arts TV, which is a nonprofit arts program. It's a broadcast channel, and it's broadcast live in the tri-state area and nationwide on the website and their app. And they hired me to make a short film as one of their artists in residence this year. So they pick 4 people every year to commission a film from. And so they asked me to make a dance film. And I told a story about a day tripper to Fire Island. It's a guy who's just going out for the day. And he meets the love of his life, and, sex, love, and dance ensues.
All right, let's watch a trailer for that film.
Yeah.
All right, true story?
There's a nugget of truth in just about anything. You know, I mean, that being said, maybe a little bit. I actually did meet my boyfriend on the beach volleyball court in Fire Island in 2020. So yeah, there's a bit of truth in there.
Oh, when did you film that?
I filmed this in September of 2022.
Is it a full length movie?
No, 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Oh, there's a lot of stuff in that 30 minutes, that looks like.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. And you know, if you want to check that film out, you can go to my website. It's on my website as well.
How did you direct it and
Yeah,
produce
so
it? Or-
okay, it gets a little complicated because I do a lot. But I had the privilege to direct the film. I co-directed it with Kylie Ugert, whom I had been put in contact with for another project, and we worked on this together. She and I co-wrote, co-produced, co-directed it, and I choreographed it. And I had some of my favorite dancers in the film, so I'm really lucky, and it's great. I'm so proud of how it came out. It is,
yeah.
it's a side of Fire Island that you don't get to see so much in media. It is just pure love and joy and beauty. It's great. I highly recommend watching it.
And so you were out Fire Island today.
I was. I just came back actually. You know, right before this interview. I'm all sun-kissed from the day. It was the first beach volleyball game of the season today, and it was just such a gorgeous weekend out here in New York. Incredible weather.
How cool. You have a podcast.
Yeah, I do. So I'm a ballet dancer, and so I'm very fascinated by like how can we make being an artist a viable career. So I decided to start a podcast about the business of art and creativity, in which I basically just talk to people that I admire about how they're making it work as artists in their lives. And people seem to really like it. It's been going great. I've had some amazing guests like Isaac Mizrahi and Jennifer Garner and many more, Misty Copeland, just awesome guests. And they're very candid conversations where I'm like, okay, how did you get your first, you know, sponsored post or something on the internet? Like, how did you get an agent? Things like that. So for people who are curious about people's journeys, it's a fascinating listen.
What do they all have in common? Is there something that they all have in common?
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of really successful people have overcome something. You know, a lot of my favorite creatives have not been handed opportunity on a silver platter. They're people who have been tenacious and gritty and really hardcore in a way. And a lot of these people have that will, the will of a warrior, just super extreme people, which I love.
Do you have any future guests coming up?
Let's see. This week's episode, which airs on Wednesday, my guest is Robin Price Glasser, who is a children's book illustrator, and she is the illustrator of the world famous Fancy Nancy series, which is about you know a young girl who is just like ostentatious and like really fabulous. Basically, she's a drag queen essentially. Yeah, and Robin is hysterical. She was a great guest, so I'm excited for people to hear this week's episode.
And in our next segment with you, we're going to talk about drag queens because you are one as well. So we'll be right back with James Whiteside. All right, we made reconnection with James. So James, come on in.
Hello, I'm sorry about that.
You scared me. Oh my God. Is it something I said? All right. Someone commented, someone named Doubly Amped said, love his book, J Dubs videos, and the new movie. So what's the J Dubs videos?
So I also write and produce my own music and create music videos for the songs that I've written. So yet another thing I like to do. It's very fun.
All right. Let's see. Russell has some pictures. Russell, can you show some pictures and we can get some comments on?
Yeah, I'm excited to see what y'all got. Oh yeah. So this is from Swan Lake. My partner is the prima ballerina Gillian Murphy at American Ballet Theater. I'm here as Prince Siegfried, her, lover, I guess.
Boy, nice thighs. And
And this
this?
is from a JB Dubs music video for a song I wrote called Wallflower. And the woman squatting under me while I'm doing a split is Cassandra Trineri, who is also a principal dancer at American Ballet Theater. And I choreographed the music video, and a friend of mine, Nissian, who's a photographer and filmmaker, did the video for it.
Oh, my. Ooh.
And this is from Cinderella, Frederick Ashton's Cinderella at American Ballet Theater. And the ballerina I'm dancing with is Hiseo. She's a beautiful principal dancer with ABT as well. And this is a photo from a shoot I did with Nissian, who also directed the Wallflower music video. And he's an amazing photographer. And he moonlights as the sort of go-to helicopter cityscape videographer. So like if you see a movie and there's a cityscape helicopter shot, it's probably one of his.
How fascinating.
Yeah, it's weird. And this is a photo I did with Mike Ruiz. And many of you may know Mike Ruiz from Top Model and RuPaul's Drag Race, but he's a very prolific fashion and art photographer. And so, yeah, this is for, I think it was for XEX magazine, which I'm not sure exists anymore.
I don't. One more, Russell?
This is also another photo by Nissian for a song I had written called New York City Piece of Me, which I did like a sort of spoof on Piece of Me by Britney Spears, in which I changed the lyrics to better suit my whims.
And you are a drag performer. Tell us how that started and
yeah. Okay,
your history.
Oh my God. So this photo is great. I started doing drag because I was living with three of my best friends in Boston when I was in Boston Ballet. And one of my friends started doing drag like very, very young. And he was just having the best time. And he challenged all of his roommates to get into drag. And we would do like living room lip syncs and film each other. It was just so much fun, so innocent, so much joy and spontaneity. And so that's how I started. And then I met a guy in Boston who ended up going on RuPaul's Drag Race, and his drag name is Milk. And so he became very obsessed with drag. And then I sort of, by osmosis, became more learned about the art of drag and more interested in doing makeup and performing and having just a gay old time. And so, yeah, that's how I got into drag.
And what's your drag name?
Yoo-hoo, Batch. It's Yoo-hoo, U-H-U, and then Batch is my last name.
How often does she go out?
Oh my gosh, it's been ages. It's been like way too long. Oh my, I need to dig Yoo-hoo out of the closet. Yeah, that's there with my friend Butter, a drag queen named Butter.
We can almost see your Yoo-hoo there.
Yeah, sure can. Yoo-hoo.
All right, you're a dancer, you're an author, you're a filmmaker, you're a songwriter, you're a drag queen. What's next?
I want to write. I want to write a novel. I want to write a young adult gay novel, and I don't want to say too much about it, but I'm outlining it now, and hopefully you'll be able to see it on shelves in the next couple of years.
Oh, that's great. That is great. Now, how long do you see your career as a ballet dancer?
Well, it depends on my body.
Yeah.
I had a very horrible knee injury in 2021. I ruptured my patellar tendon in a performance of the Nutcracker and had to have surgery pretty much right away. And I've been working back from that since the surgery. And so I'm back on stage and everything, doing all the roles that I once did. But, it does take patience and endurance and perseverance to get back to that sort of physical power that I once felt. And so I'm getting there, but it's a lot of work. So I'll keep dancing as long as my body holds out.
Okay, what's the after that? When you say, my body can't do it anymore. What do you hope to do?
So I really enjoy making things, as evidenced by the
Yeah.
restlessness that I generally feel. Uh, so I want to choreograph. I'd like to do film, television, music videos, as well as classical ballet and theater and Broadway. I just want to make things for stage and screen. I like writing very much. I would like to write my own television show. I would like to continue writing essays that are published in collections, as well as try my hand at novels.
James, I have no doubt that you won't that you will complete those probably by the end of the month. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I understand you were in Burlington, Vermont a few years ago.
I was, yes, I taught at the Lines Dance Studio. One of my colleagues runs, his family runs a dance studio out there, and I had the best time. The students were so talented, and the people were so lovely, and I would gladly go back.
Well, I hope to see you anytime. Come on up. Thank you very much, James.
Thank you, Amber. It's been a pleasure. Bye, everybody out there.
Bye.